Okay, here we are sitting in the home on wheels once again for episode 2, which I believe last time we were talking about. I was stuck in the Walmart parking lot in Missoula, Montana. I had finally gotten down there and I was able to get food, and I was stuck there several days. Usually, once I got to a location, I had no further money to travel any further. And about a couple days into it, in the middle of the night, I hear my name being called out, and I roll down my window, and it was my sister. And she gave me $75 that she had. And that got me clear to the Continental Divide, where I then camped again for a few days. Things were getting close to too rough as far as I was concerned at this point. I jumped and jumped and jumped and had no money and had nothing to do, and I had such great plans for the whole trip at that point. And I was disappointed, and I sat, and then a text message came in from Roundup, and he sent me just enough money to make it to his property, where he had multiple cars that were broken and needed to be repaired. Oh, that was another trip. Never mind. Anyway, I got there and I immediately decided this I was tired of doing this. I was tired of running between Roundup and Everett, back and forth, back and forth. As soon as it got too much to handle at one, I'd go to the other, and I was just sick and tired of doing this routine over and over and over again. So I made an executive decision. I decided that the only way out of this was for me to get a job. I had to become financially independent. I couldn't be relying on the finances being given me by either person, even though that was done for work and many times not even paid. And that's the truth of that matter. So I decided that I needed another source of income, and that source of income could not be under the control of anybody that I knew. No friends, no family, no nothing like that. I also needed to live somewhere other than in someone else's house. So I decided that my main thing to do at that point was to get some sort of employment. And I decided after 20 plus years in retail that had not done auto parts, and I was going to do auto parts. So I sat down and envisioned myself becoming some sort of a manager at AutoZone. And then I applied for the position and I got the position. And I was a member of the management team. I worked there. That got me down to Billings. The person from Roundups supplied me with a trailer on his lot at $300 a month, which wasn't bad, but it had some drawbacks. There wasn't really a toilet facility. There was no water, things like that. It wasn't ideal, and it was wintertime, and it was cold as heck, and I ran two heaters, and the power bill went ridiculous. This was a place that I hooked up the power, not the power company. I did. I went out and put them high voltage lines into the thing myself. I hooked it up because nobody would do it. So I had power there, and I ran heaters for most of the winter, but it ended up moving me into just the bedroom of the fifth wheel with two heaters just to maintain, and the electrical bill was getting just out of hand. In the meantime, my car had blown up on the way from Roundup to Billings one day, and I was out of a vehicle. So the person in Roundup borrowed me their vehicle and said I could use that for as long as I needed to. That made it a couple of months before I needed to purchase that vehicle or bring it back because they were short vehicles again. So I did not want that vehicle, but I went ahead and I made the agreement to purchase it, and I paid that vehicle off $1,700. I did that all just prior to the end of the winter time. I started out in the store in the Heights and I worked up there and I really enjoyed the people and we had a great relationship up there for the most part, but there were some issues that I felt I needed to expand beyond that store. So I ended up down in the downtown Billings store, which was a crap hole at that point. They had freight in the parking lot. There was freight coming out the back door. There was no pop in the cooler. Nobody was doing anything, standing around with their fingers up their butt. And I got to working. Pretty soon there was pop in the cooler. Pretty soon the freight started to go. Pretty soon things were cleaned up. Pretty soon customers could actually get products because nobody could buy anything in that store when I arrived. The shelves were Mother Hubbard empty. And a lot of that was done off of my ideas, which they pretty much took from me and didn't give credit to me and didn't offer me any kind of advancement. I've had conversations with the district manager and was told that, he had stores and it could work that way, but that I needed to buckle down and do the damn list to get into that program, and it wasn't going to be right away, and blah blah blah. I knew he had a position down in Rapid City for a manager, and he really had nobody that wanted to go there. So he was going to go outside the company again and hire some other buddy to go down there and do that. Whatever. Didn't make any difference. It was the deciding factor for me was the sneaky little behavior that had gone on over the assistant manager position in the Billings store on 24th. The girls said they did not want the position and they encouraged me to go for it, and I said, okay, I will go for it then. And then the district manager made a phone call and convinced the laziest girl in the whole show to take that position after all. And I confronted him about that in our conversation, and that led me to the decision that I was going to leave. I couldn't make enough money to get anywhere. It was paycheck to paycheck, and it was really paycheck to the day before paycheck, so there was a hungry day in there, and I didn't really care for that, and I was freezing, and it was cold, and it was just ridiculous. So I took a leap and took a job as a limo driver up in Bozeman and made enough money doing that to be where I am now, in the motorhome in Arizona on property that I have made an agreement to purchase. I also traveled all over heck and back, including Texas, before I got here, in a motorhome that does 8 miles to the gallon. So I had a decent amount of money here. Things have slowly taken that, and here recently we had the car issue where I took a week and I blew a couple of $100 on parts, and then eventually found that somebody had cut the wires to my speed sensor in sabotage while it was parked up in Montana. I had let people know that I was going to fly up and get that and drive it down. It was public knowledge that that would take place. Maybe not the exact day, but it was public knowledge. So that's where we're at right now. I have fixed the car. The car is running. I'm sitting on the property. I have water on this property. I have sewer on this property. And I have a motorhome on this property that's, it's pretty nice. It's from 1977, but it's only got 69,000 miles on it. So it's in really great shape, and I like it. Needs a little paint job on the inside. But that's where we're at this point. I have made some applications back to AutoZone and didn't receive a call on those. And who knows what's going on there? That's really not a concern at this point. Why should I go back? Why should I go back and do those things for free? And that's the reality of that situation. Why should I go back and give my ideas to them so they look good? And that's what I'm tired of, and that's where I'm at in my life, is that I think business here in America has lost its way. It's got no balls. It's wrapped up in multiculturalism and all kinds of horse shit that just bogs down the whole system, and it's systemic. Nobody wants to win anymore. You go into anywhere, they don't want to win. You meet the management. The management doesn't want to win. Everybody just wants to get their paycheck and do whatever else they do in life. And I don't think that's sustainable anymore. We also have the problem of the disappearance of all the young workers. They're just not out there in the place since COVID, and I don't understand that, and that really confuses me a lot. I do know some of the excuses for it, but I'm not always buying everything that I hear. I just know they're not there, and I see more and more elderly people in every retail place I go, including the mini market and the fast food joints. And we all know they're in Walmart. I mean, that's no stretch there. But so we're back in control again. We're back in the helm again. The millennials have thrown up their hands and they've said, we're not playing. You didn't give us a gym. You're not going to play ball with us. So we're going home and play Xbox for the rest of our life. And that's where we are in society at this point, post-COVID, is that all of the young people have no direction in life and they don't give a shit. So we're having to staff with older people. That is a challenge for young managers to be thinking that they need to staff with people older than them and more experienced and probably even more wiser. And that's just the facts, and it's what comes with the job. That's just the job. Anyway, that's where I'm sitting right now. Everything is manifested in my life. All of these things were manifestations. How they come about and the way they come about and all of that is part of that. It's not part of it that I control. I manifest the job. I can't control what the job does. I manifest the motorhome. I don't control what the motorhome does. I manifest the property. I don't control how. I just manifest. And that's what I do, and that's what I would really love to get across to people today, is that we do have this strange ability to control our own reality. And if you start giving it some attention in your own life, you'll begin to see the patterns that have caused where you're at. And you'll begin to see solutions to how that can be handled. And again, it's not the how and the why, it's seeing yourself, seeing the better version of yourself. Then as soon as you can visualize and see that better version of yourself, then you're going to become it. But you've got to be ready for what's going to come, because your whole life is going to change. Everything has to change. You can't go from being a loser to a winner wearing the same pair of pants. It's not going to happen that way. So you've got to be aware that drastic changes are going to happen in your life. And some of those drastic changes are going to be terrible, and they're going to be awful, and they're going to leave you crying and wiping your eyes off and wondering what the hell you've been doing the whole time and feeling lost and all of those things that really you shouldn't feel, because this is all a part of the process. The old life has to die, the new life comes in. The old way is gone, the new way comes in. You've got to be flexible for that. And that is something that that business, it seems not to be doing, is getting rid of the old to make way for the new. The new way of doing business, the new way of capturing customers, the new way of doing things. People talk about how effective email marketing is. You know what I do with the emails? Click, 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 delete. That's what I do with emails. I'm not, oh, look, I got an email from Kmart. I'm going shopping. It doesn't happen that way anymore. There was a time when it did, but it's not as effective as it was. It's not. Let's all stop saying that it is. So let's get back to manifestation, because that's where we want to be. We just want to imagine ourselves in a better life, doing better things, and living better. And it's a journey and a path to want to do that. And very, very few people are going to want to do that. They're going to be resistant, or they're going to understand it on such a simple level. And this is what most of your manifestation teachers out there in the world are doing now, is they're teaching you how to manifest $10,000, but what they're not teaching you is the person you are can't have $10,000. You have to become that person. So that's where we are. Thanks for listening. Loving the dream.